Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Learn with Jason. Today on the show, we are going to be having a good old time trying to build a board game using web tech, which I am very, very excited about. And to help us do that, I'm going to be bringing to the stage Eli. Eli, how you doing?
I'm great, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited to have you on. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll talk a little bit more about some of the news that has brought you here. But before we do that, let's jump into who you are. So, for folks who aren't familiar with you and your work, can you give us a bit of a background on yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been working with computers for about 17 years now. And so 15 of those years were largely in an engineering capacity. So I've done a lot of like full stack web dev stuff. I've been in purely front end roles, purely back end roles, engineering management, all across the board, and have worked at some really fun companies. I worked at Etsy when it was a little company, so I'd go from little to big. I worked at Headspace in Los Angeles,
Oh, cool.
and then I worked at little tiny startups too. Everything, the whole gamut. But I currently am in a product role. I transitioned to doing purely product management stuff a few years ago, and I am actually the head of product at a company called Tuple.
And what a segue that creates for me to say, yeah, I'm super excited because we have a new sponsor on Learn with Jason, and it's a new kind of sponsorship. I'm very excited because a lot of times what sponsorship on Learn with Jason has meant is that companies are paying to cover the cost of like the live captioning, which I so deeply appreciate. But we haven't really explored anything beyond that. And then the team at Tuple came out and said, "Hey, what if you use Tuple as part of Learn with Jason?" And I was like, I don't know, product placement is usually not my thing. But then I saw Tuple and I was like, wait a minute, this is actually kind of perfect for what I do. So yeah, Eli, do you maybe want to give us like a quick overview of what Tuple is?
Yeah, absolutely. So in short, Tuple is a pair programming app. It is an app that runs on macOS and Windows. And we think it's the absolute best way to pair program if that's something that you do at your job or in your personal life. Um, it's especially for using something like Zoom or Google Meet to do your pair programming sessions. It's got a lot of special affordances that are built to make your pairing sessions smooth and seamless. Again, I think we'll some of them will come up organically as we use Tuple today, but we think that the experience of using Tuple is just 4 clicks smoother than you might experience with a generic screen sharing tool. It helps you get into flow together, stay in flow, do good work with your teammates, and get stuff done.
Yeah, and I was excited about it because it's got a few features that we'll end up playing with as we go through today. But the long and short of it is, huge thanks to Tuple, allows me to do more with the show, allows me to reinvest into Learn with Jason in general. So welcome as a sponsor. Thank you all for continuing to watch, so that companies like Tuple want to sponsor shows like this. But let's talk a little bit more about what we're actually going to build today, because you kind of pitched me on like, let's build a board game, and I
Yeah.
didn't question that. I was like, yeah, whatever, let's do whatever you want, because it sounded fun. Like I like the idea of building a board game, and then I started thinking about it, and I
Mm.
got kind of intimidated because I was like, wait a minute, like there are a lot of rules in a board
Yeah.
game. There are a lot of things that we have to like, even simple things like tic-tac-toe. There's actually quite a bit of complexity hidden in how all of those different rules work.
Mm.
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm coming in a little bit nervous about how this is gonna all come together. So maybe give me an idea of what, like, how do you approach something like this?
Um, yeah. So I think there's two things that are giving me maybe a little bit less trepidation. So the first is I think we're going to be armed with a very nice open source library that's going to give us a nice boost. So
Mm.
there's a very cool library that I found, and this is really the impetus for me wanting to bring this to the show as well. And we'll bring it up once we get more into the thick of it. But I found this library called BoardGame.io,
Mm.
uh, and what I like about it is, again, it is tailor made for board games, right? So if you're going to build a board game from scratch, either using traditional web technologies or using like a game engine, you're starting from a blank slate, right?
Right.
And there are a bunch of concepts that are common to most board games. A lot of them have like a setup phase and then a phase where you go back and forth and do turns. Most of them have an idea of like an invalid move and move validation. So the nice thing is BoardGame.io structures all those things, makes it easy to come in with a general approach that's already been pre-thought for you and kind of just fill in the blanks without having to start from a completely blank page. And so I'm really excited to use BoardGame. To be clear, like I haven't really done anything with it. I looked at the library, the docs seemed good. I went through a little bit of a hello world with it, and I was like, I think this is going to make our lives a lot easier. So I think that using BoardGame is going to hopefully make this less of a scary experience. Yeah, go on.
I love it because this is like, it wouldn't be an episode of Learn with Jason if we weren't taking a big leap based on like a half-baked hunch.
Yeah, the number of decisions in my life where I've done 15 minutes of research and then just jumped in more than I would care to name. So this is a common pattern for me personally as well.
Yeah. I mean, we'll just YOLO development is always a good time.
Yeah.
All right. So what game did you want to make today? Like, are we trying to invent something? Are we going to make a classic? What do you have in mind?
I think a classic is probably gonna yield a better result than us trying to do some real-time game design, which again, like I've done it in the past and it's fun, but I feel like the most standard thing for us to do would probably be checkers. I think checkers is probably one of the easier things to implement, and it's got some wrinkles too. Like I actually was thinking about checkers. It's got some parts that might be a little bit of a puzzle for us, but I think it'll be just complex enough to be fun.
Yeah, because like if we're thinking about checkers, it has ostensibly it's very, very easy. Like the pieces can move, they can jump. Yeah. But then you start thinking, okay, but they can move in certain places, they can't move in other places. They can jump, they can multi-jump as long as the chain is available. So we'll have to be able to think many steps into the future to pull that off. You also have the ability to like get kinged, and once a piece is kinged, then the rules all change. So really interesting stuff that we're going to have to deal with on this. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
For sure.
One of those games where everyone has their own rules once you get too far in. That's true as well. Like, are we going to accommodate house rules?
That'd be a good feature. I actually went and found like Hasbro's old school PDF of checkers rules, and there is a rule that I've never seen before. So yes, person who just made that comment, I think there are some obscure checkers rules that people tend to deviate once they get deep into the game.
I'm so ready. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel like I do have a lot of questions, but it'd probably be easier to just dive right in and start talking about them. So why don't we flip over into the pairing mode? And first and foremost, look at this updated sponsor banner. There's Tuple, there's Netlify. We've got live captioning today. Diane is here from White Coat Captioning. Thank you so much for being here, Diane. And yeah, just amazing. So we're going to be building a web-based board game, and here's Eli on GitHub. I asked Eli earlier, I was where should I direct people? And he said, I don't have a web presence on purpose, and I felt this like wave of calm come over me about like just not being on like, man, that must be nice.
Yeah, I just not my style, but respect to everyone who does have an internet presence. It's just I'm not organized enough for it or photogenic enough.
Well, I think we can all disagree with that. But so we've got you on GitHub. That we traced you down on the internet. You're here. And then we are talking about we're going to be using this repo today, and let's just let's throw a little link out to Tuple for anybody who wants to give this a shot. So some fun things happen once we get started here, but maybe let's just talk a little bit about this repo and what you want to, I guess, where you want to start. So let me actually get this going while I'm in here. We will. What am I doing? I want to get back here, and then I'm going to make a directory called. This is so that my links work. It all like mirrors GitHub.
Oh, nice.
And we're getting board game React. Okay. Now I got to get this back so that I don't forget later where the heck I am. And we're going to open. Nope, there we go. Open this one. There we are. All right. So we're in this repo.
Yeah.
And inside, we've got, let's see. So we've got a package JSON. And I can see here's board game IO. We've got some TypeScript stuff. We've got some testing stuff. React DOM, React scripts, TypeScript. So this looks pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
Anything in specific you want to kind of call out as we're getting started here?
I don't think so. Again, I made this repo sort of as like it's half create React apps. You see some of the cruft from there. And then I stuck just enough board game IO in there to get us started. Do you think it makes sense to just like maybe take a peek at board game IO for a second so we can like ground ourselves in like what it is and what it does and how it relates to React?
Let's do it.
Cool.
Where should I go?
Well, actually, I'm gonna do a cool tuple thing right now. So hold on to your hats. But tuple has the ability for me to just send you a link and open it in your browser. So I'm gonna do that for you.
Did you see that? Hands free. Like that's dope. Okay. So heading. Oh, opening the wrong one though. Let me open my other. Drag this to the right browser window. No, not the whole thing, just the tab. There we go. All right. Woes of running a million browsers while I'm trying to like manage this stream. Okay, so all right, so here's boardgame.io.
Yeah. So again, I think that something that really helps me sort of grok what this is, and again, I'm doing some tuple stuff here, so I'll be doodling on your screen a little bit. I think the most important feature of boardgame.io is this is going to be our smiley face. Hey, you gotta have fun. You gotta laugh. You know what I mean? But I think boardgame.io is going to be taking the place of sort of what Redux would do in like a more traditional React app, where Redux is, our canonical state store, and it's got these sort of semantic mutations we can perform on that state store. Boardgame.io is going to do that job for us. It's going to store our game state, and it's going to allow us to define some semantically meaningful mutations to that. So for example, when we move a piece, we'll probably have like a move piece function that will update that state. And then it itself is view layer agnostic. So again, you can just do this in raw JavaScript or HTML. But I've been using React for a minute, and I get the sense that Jason, you have as well. And so what I put in this in the repo is really like an empty shell of game state with no mutations whatsoever, and then just an empty React element that consumes that state and sort of spits out nothing at all. And so that's what we've got in the repo right now. And I think it'll probably be good to keep this handy because, and I'm going to remote control for a second. But I think we're going to be doing a lot of stuff in these docs. So I think having this up is gonna help us move along. But I think for right now, that's probably the most important thing to know about boardgame.io. And so Jason, this is a question for you. You mentioned like being daunted at the scope here. I'm wondering, like, do you think it makes sense for us to do like a little maybe like break down chess into some discrete steps and like make a little to-do list for ourselves? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that probably makes a lot of sense. So why don't we hop back into here and then maybe throw it into. We probably don't need the create React app stuff, right? Or well, whatever. We'll make a new one. Let's do game rules.md. If I can spell it right. What am I doing over here? There we go. So a little checklist.
Yeah.
Or did you want to do it like this, or did you want to put it somewhere else?
Yeah, this is perfect.
Okay. So we need. Oh my God, this is like so overwhelming. Okay, so you have pieces can move one diagonal space. Do I remember the? That's how checkers works, right? They move diagonally. Yeah.
Yeah.
if there's a clear space behind, pieces can jump an opposing piece. Pieces can only move forward. If there are clear spaces, pieces can jump multiple times. What else? If a piece reaches the opposing end of the board, it is kinged. Kings can move backwards. What else? Is that it?
I think that's about it. I think maybe the only other thing that I would put in here is, and I'm going to control for a second. Sorry, a little laggy. I think also just to like get ourselves started and to like give ourselves a little bit of a mini confidence boost, it might just be good to like set up the board. So like board is 8x8. And so we can at least get that going, and also pieces placed on rows. And yeah, I think that, you know, for the purposes of this stream too, like I think if we can move our way down this list and get through as much of it as we get through, I'll consider that a success. If we don't get all the way to like the kingly stuff, I think that'll be chill. So I don't know, just in case you're feeling the overwhelm, that's how I'm thinking.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that works. So then, and then we also have, so it's an 8x8 board. So there are 12 pieces. Pieces are placed. Does it matter if it's on like the white or black, or is it just sort of like as long as they're on one or the other?
That's a great question. I think so. I'm going to also beam you one more thing to your browser. Okay. So here, this is the aforementioned old school PDF that I found. So yeah, also it definitely comes from another era. I refer to the pieces as men. The men. But the pieces, it looks like in this drawing at least, are all in the dark colored squares. So
okay.
If we want to do it that way.
All right, so we'll just say like on black squares. Yeah. Okay. I feel like that's close. I mean, honestly, if we can get to jumps.
Yeah.
In fact, why don't we switch these up where so we build a board, we get pieces on the board, we get them in the right spots, we get them to be able to move, and then we make sure they can only move forward. If we can get to jumps, I feel like we've sort of, that's pretty solid for how much time we have.
I think that would be a resounding victory if we could get there. That sounds great.
So Wesley, the beaming thing, that's part of tuple. And so let me actually pull up, where's my tuple window here? You can see here that Eli and I are on a call right now, and so like I'm sharing my screen, and that means that Eli has the ability to like he can send me links and draw on the screen and stuff like that, because we're in this call together. And then if I was the one watching, if I was the one watching, I would be able to like draw on his screen or send him links or do a few other things. But yeah, I feel like this is all, it's cool. I mean, this is why I got excited when the sponsorship came up, is like, this is stuff that I wish I could do all the time. Like we're always, guests are like beaming something, or like they're like sending me a private link somewhere so that I can find it and copy paste it, like being able to just beam it. Another thing that I do all the time that's a pain is like there's a little bit of code that they're trying to explain and I don't know what they mean because it's, a framework I've never used before. And if they could type it, they would just take over the screen and like type 3 characters and we would be done. But because they can't, they have to like DM me a slice of code, and then it gets it's a whole thing, right? So there's a lot of cool stuff that happens here that makes the stream run a little bit better, actually, which is why I thought this was such a good partnership. But yeah, it is very cool stuff. Yeah, especially for a show like this, but like also just anytime you're working with anybody, it's cool stuff. It's like, oh, you got requests for other platforms, Windows, Linux.
Windows, yes.
You have Windows?
Yep,
Oh, so it does work on Mac and Windows.
that's correct.
Hell yeah. Okay, so let's dig into this here. Let's get ourselves a piece. So I'm looking. We've got our index.tsx, which is a pretty standard React setup. We've got our our client, our strict mode, all that kind of stuff. Why is it yelling at us?
Did you
Oh,
did
gosh.
you npm install?
Oh, I didn't npm install. That'll do it.
There we go. Now it's happy.
All right. Okay. Now it's not going to yell at us anymore, and I can start the server. Maybe I can't.
I think it might be npm.
Did I spell
start.
it wrong? Start. I haven't used Create React App in so long that I've gone full in on Vite. Okay.
Yeah, I'm there. Go on. Sorry.
So I'm just gonna position these up here and see if this might not be what we want, but ooh, that's nice. So is this part of board game?
Yeah, that's board game. So it has, again, it's like you can think it is like Redux just for board games. So just like Redux has got some of these, bespoke dev tool things that allow you to like introspect state and step through stuff. Board game has its own idea about some of those things. And it allows to like artificially switch whose turn it is and stuff like that. It has a bunch of cool bells and whistles. Maybe we'll see them as we poke around the docs, but it's good stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And so right now we've got our board. Our board does nothing. We've got our game. Our game has our cells, doesn't really do anything else. So this looks like sort of the core of what's going on, right?
Yeah, I think this is the spot where it's connecting. It's connecting the actual, because that game.ts, that's got like our logic in it. That's the state store. The board is the React element. And then this we can kind of ignore. I was also getting a little bit ambitious about what we might do here. But one of the other cool things that Board Game IO gives you out of the box is multiplayer for free. Again, because you're doing these sort of discrete state mutations, it's able to model those really easily as a sort of multiplayer experience. And so there's a very cool thing you can do, which is to take this same game logic and you can it comes with a server component. You can run it in Node, and it will validate that every move that each client is giving is like valid given the game state, and will federate those changes out. It's very, very cool. I don't think we'll have time for it, but this is just basically saying that like we're using local multiplayer. Like you could essentially have two clients running in the same browser. But I don't think it's going to be salient right now. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So where do you want to start? I start with the board, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's well. How about this? If our first task on the to-do list is just to like set up the state, maybe we jump into game.ts and and just get, and so also this has got a little bit of cruft in it from me setting up some. It comes with like a tic-tac-toe example, so I thought I had expunged all of it, but I think this is just a holdover from there. I feel like I think getting this into the right state is probably our first. Thing. So again, if we want a grid of spaces for the state of the game, right? I feel like an array of arrays is probably the right data structure, right?
Sure.
Yeah. But I think maybe something we can talk about is what those spaces should contain.
Yeah. So they would probably need some kind of a unique identifier. So using like chess logic, it would be A1, A2 for the first row, and then like B1, B2 for the second row, if I'm remembering correctly. And then we would need to know whether or not a piece is occupying that space. And I guess the piece would need to be like identified as like which team it's on.
I think that's right. Yeah. Okay. So here, do you mind if I'm going to drive for just a hot second here? So I think maybe it'll make sense for us. And again, apologies if my TypeScript is a little bit rusty. But maybe we call this like cell, like a structure that represents like the information that will be in each element of the grid, right?
Mhm.
So it sounded like what you were talking about is each one might have like a string identifier, which I think maybe we might be able to get away without this, just in the interest of time. I don't know if we're actually going to need that, so we can maybe circle
Okay.
back to that one. But also, I think one thing that maybe each cell of the board might have is there's a color of the square itself, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, and so maybe we no, not that. TypeScript is enums like this, right?
Yeah, I think you just do white and black.
Okay, cool. Semicolon, comma.
Great question. I think if you save, it'll auto format that for you. Commas it is.
Commas it is. Cool. And then I think you were also saying that like we might have a piece on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so being a little bit optimistic here, but maybe we also make another little. So when we think about what is intrinsic to each piece, it feels like maybe
really just like the color and whether or not it's a king.
Yeah, I think that's right. Do you want to have separate? Do you want to reuse this color enum?
I don't see why not.
Yeah, let's reuse it. Yeah, cool. That's a semicolon. And we're gonna say is king. That look kosher to you?
Would it? Okay, so thinking through the is king flag as opposed to like a type, because if we have a set of rules for, I don't know what they're not pawns, but like rules for standard pieces, rules for kings. I guess it doesn't really matter. The check is basically the same.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and maybe we'll circle back to this part of the design. I mean, we'll also see if we even get to kinging stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But I can see it in both ways, right? Because I think a lot of the logic is going to end up being centralized inside of the state store here.
Mm-hmm.
So it might make more sense to put the flag here, but I also could see an argument for making this more of like a bona fide class, for example, and doing something we maybe inherit from piece an override a function. I could see that being a strategy as well. So
I gotcha.
I see merit in both ways. But yeah, I feel like for simplicity's sake, maybe we'll just stick this here and then we can change it later if we want to.
Okay.
Cool. And then, so circling back to this type definition here. So it feels like we want to utilize the cell type, and this is sort of how I would describe that type, where it's an array of arrays of cells. I think this is the syntactical way to represent that TypeScript. Does that track for you as well?
I mean, we could fight about whether it should be array with pointy boys or the square boys at the end, but I don't think we got time for that.
What do you mean, like you mean like?
Because you can also do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oops.
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe I'm a fan of that. It's a little bit clearer.
I find it easier to read, but you know, I think it is more preference than anything else.
Yeah, let's do that. That sounds good. Okay, cool.
Okay, so we've got our grid is an array of cells.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess we would also have like the game state. Or I guess we could just call it state because we have, and that would either be like active or like one or ended or something. Like I guess because we would need a way to say whether or not you can make another move.
Yeah, I think this is actually something that Board Game's going to handle for us. I think both
hell
like
yeah, then let's leave it out.
Yeah. I think all we need to say is state that's salient to like the rules of this particular game.
Okay. So then I think I have to kick it back to you because you've done more reading of the board game docs. But if we so to define, so our grid is an array of cells. That makes sense. Our pieces, then we'd have like moves or like piece pieces placement or initial placement or something, is that
Yeah.
defined here or is that defined somewhere else?
So I think I'm looking at the docs myself, but I think that uh, do, 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 do. we're going to be able to define a function inside of this guy. So that if we whatever your yeah, there we go. Yeah, so these are all the things that board game allows us to define about our game. These are like the rules in
Okay.
the abstract. And so setup, I think, is going to be the thing that we want to implement. And looking at the docs, I think setup is a function that returns an initial value for that state object, right? So as long as we return uh, a valid checker state, then it'll be happy. There we go.
And so we don't know if we need the ID, but we can do something like that to start. Color
Yeah.
would be... Does it just use a string like that? It does, okay. And then the piece needs to be an object that's color and... Okay, so that's one valid cell, and we need 8 by 8 of these.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Did that wrong.
Oh, hon, and also font for. Yep, that looks like one valid cell. You're right.
Okay, so we've got our one valid cell,
Yeah.
and then we would do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then this one would be null.
Hmm.
In fact, why don't I get rid of these and we'll just copy paste that. There we go.
There we go.
So this would give us like our back row, and then
Yeah, and on Jason, before we go too deep with this,
uh-huh.
I also wonder about the syntax for the putting the string black there. I'm just not entirely sure about it. I don't want to make you have to go back and do it all again. Because I think what I've done in the past is color dot black, because I think those enums will actually become integers when it
Oh,
compiles
I
to
got you.
JavaScript.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So just to avoid surgery later, I think that's the syntax I've seen before.
I
Yeah,
didn't realize it did that. Okay, that's great. Okay, so then this gets us one row, and
yeah.
then we would take this and duplicate, and that would let's see. If I collapse this one, we end up here, and then all of these become B,
Mhm.
and then we need to swap our pieces. And
Yeah,
there's not
that's
an
right.
easy way to do that. I'm sure the Vim people are screaming like, yes, there is, but I don't know what it is. So I'm going to just copy this, and we'll drop these in here. Oh, boy. Okay. And then if I copy my A rack one more time, the pieces are in the
Yeah.
right place, and I can just make them C.
Beautiful.
Okay. So that's our first rack.
Yeah,
And
I think
then,
I think we're cruising. Yeah.
so for our middle two rows,
Yeah.
everything is null.
Yeah.
Oops.
And just to save ourselves maybe some copying and pasting, you want to make like a little function called like empty row that just spits out 8 of those dudes.
What a great idea.
And hold on, I'm also going to Google something while you're doing this. I think there's a syntax in JavaScript for creating an array that's default filled with a particular number of values. I think it is. I don't know if off the top of my head. But if you make the function, I'm going to Google this in the background.
Okay, so actually let's see. Because what it's like array.fill or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's right. And actually, I think it's what I'm thinking of is the constructor. I may be misremembering something, but yeah, there's dot fill. There's array length as a constructor. So you can say like array 8 dot fill with the value, I think.
Array 8 dot fill. Yeah. Okay. So array
There it is.
8 dot fill, and the value can be any of these. However, that won't solve our ID problem.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, okay,
Uh,
but you did bring up a good point that we might not need these IDs. The only reason I was thinking we would need an ID is if we need to like specify that the moves have to match like a successive piece.
I think we're going to have enough information just based on like the X and Y coordinates within this grid to be able to know what we need to know. So yeah, I think if it makes our life easier to get rid of this, to get rid of the ID, maybe now's the time to do it so we don't have to worry about it in this context.
And I also just, the chat just mentioned that we've been making all of the cells black instead of alternating black and white.
Ah, thank you, chat. Yes, that is true.
So that's another issue we'll have to figure out is how to interleave these. Because I mean, we could probably write a function that would like make two arrays and then zip them together, but I don't know, like copy paste might be easier.
Yeah, let's do copy paste. Let's do it.
Okay, so we're just gonna copy paste. Let's get this one here, and then we'll get this one here, and okay, and then we're gonna get one more of these. Make it white. Oh, that's irritating that I didn't catch that earlier because now we got to go back and do a bunch of, let's see, 4, 6, 8. Okay. That's going to make this one much easier. So we'll go up and just replace. There's our blank row.
There it is.
Okay, so we've got 3. Oh, but these need to alternate then. So then I can take this one. Oh, geez. Okay. All right, so that's starting white, ending black, and then we on this one would need to end on white. Okay, that should be right, and then this one ends on black. And thank goodness I got the guess right there, and our null pieces are going to be on white squares. So
Nice.
good. Okay. And so then what I think we can do is take these 3 rows and we can drop these down here. And I believe that puts them in the right setup. And then we can drop out our IDs because we won't need them. And does that mean that our pieces are in the right place? I think it does. So I think if we just do this, that should put us with a complete board.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah.
I think so.
I'm with you. I'm feeling confident. Yeah. Good shout, Linda Cat. I agree. Visualizing this is probably gonna help us know if we worked something really important.
Okay. So that is that. I'm gonna just finish deleting IDs because this is where we are. This is who I am now. So close. We're so close. Oh my goodness. I could have written a regex to fix this way faster than it's taken me to do this. Okay. Oh, like 10 more.
Appreciate the encouragement from the comment section.
Just high quality entertainment happening right now.
People say, "What is programming like?" And I say, "You're inserting rows of text and deleting rows of text constantly."
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is our board, and if I'm not mistaken, it
Yeah.
should lay out a properly set up board.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay, so for us to actually like try this and test it, how do we do that?
So let's go to board.tsx.
Okay. And is it in the game?
Yeah, I think that G variable, and this is really copying from like some of the board game examples, their style. I think G, if we hover over it, I think will also show us that it is of type checker state.
Checker state. It is. Okay.
Yeah,
great.
so we can just use that to do some Reacty stuff.
Grid.map.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to give us our rows.
Yes, that's right.
Or each row, I guess. And inside of here, we're going to get a, we'll return row.map.cell. What am I doing? Oh, I missed there we go. Okay. So in here, what we should, or wait, we need a little more. We're gonna do we'll do like a div class name row.
Nice.
And then get one of these going.
Yeah.
Get one of those going. And then in here, we should be able to do a div class name cell. And inside of it, we should be able to say, I guess we can cell and then get the colors, like cell.color. Is that coming in as a, that is coming in as a color, equals color.black, black or white.
Nice.
And then we just need to, do we have to import this or?
Yeah, I think we have to export it from the other one and then import it over here.
Okay, then we, then we'll get back to board. We'll get color. Okay, and then inside of it, we can do a cell dot piece. And if there is a piece, we'll do, I don't know, we'll class name piece, and then I guess we'll do it this way because why not?
Yeah.
What's going on? What did I miss? Oh, I need a...
Yeah, there it is.
Okay. All right,
Cool.
everyone. Theoretically speaking... Oh, wait, I screwed something up. What am I...
Oh.
We need one of... Oh, we need our closing parentheses.
Nice.
There we go. All right, so there is our board, maybe. And then we can say class name board, and then we should be able to style based on that. But let's go look at what we've got here and see if it's doing what we think it's doing.
Yeah.
Board. 1,
Ooh.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. Hey, all right. 1, 2, 3,
Oh.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cells. All right. So then let's I guess let's just style these real quick so that we have that. Did you want to style in a certain place?
I think Create React App has an app.css and an index.css. I don't think it matters which one we use. And again, there's some cruft in here which we can blow away and then just put our own stuff in here.
I'm just going to dump that. So we'll say board is going to be, also let me just make this language, CSS. There we go. So we'll make this display flex, flex direction column, and then we'll do row is going to be display flex. That should be fine. We'll do cells. Our width, we'll go with 100 pixels, or I guess, okay, let's be block size and inline size. We'll max up at 100, and then if it's black, background color of black. If it is white, background color of white, and then we've got our pieces. And let's give these a, how do we want to do this? Let's go with padding of like 10 pixels, and then we can say these are block size 100% and inline size of 100%. Is that actually going to work? We will find out. We'll set a background colors like that, and then we can say border radius is 50%, and we'll give it a border just so we can see the pieces 1 pixel solid red. Okay, how close did I get?
This is all looking pretty good to me. I'm glad you're the one driving the CSS stuff because that would have taken me a lot longer.
Did any of that actually happen? Like, did it?
Oh, we also I don't know, there may be a missing bit of glue here. Go back to, I think we have to actually include the CSS file.
It's in the index. Okay, I'm just gonna pull it into the index then.
That's true.
We can leave that in. That seems fine. Look at that. Okay.
Oh!
So this is not perfect by any stretch, but ooh, we also screwed some of this up. Let's see. Oh, I think I forgot to change all the. Wait, what is this?
Sorry. That was another little bit of tuple magic. It allows you to throw some emojis on there when something cool happens. So
okay,
pardon me.
So we got a couple things wrong here, but we're not as far off as. Okay, so yeah, we just got a few things. I think just placement is wrong. So if we go back into our game and black, white, black. Oh my God, which ones are wrong? So third row. So we're gonna collapse to, here's our third row, black, white, black, white, black, white, black. Okay, so now that one's right, and then we just screwed up here where these need to just shift. And I think the way we can do that on these is to quite literally just drop the top piece to the bottom on each of these, and that should flip the rows, if I'm right. And I am, because I am a genius. Okay, and then we'll go with all of these. This side will be our white side, so we're gonna go with, let's get all of these pieces here. Piece color black, and we'll just select them all. Okay, so that gets this side to white. Got to fix that. Last row has a missing one. Oh no, that wasn't the right one. It was this. Okay, so now our rows are right, pieces on this side are right. Just got to find this last white one over here and get that set up properly. Is it you? No, these are the right ones. Okay, there we go. We got ourselves a checkerboard.
Beautiful.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Should we zoom forward to movement?
Let's give it a shot.
All right, cool. So I was thinking about this a little bit, and I think we're going to be using React state management a little bit. I think we're going to be using board game state management a little bit. So what I mean by that is I think we're going to have to implement an interaction whereby you can click to select a piece. We probably want to show that it's selected, and then click on a destination. And so I think in board games world, the actual selection of the piece is not mutating the game state. So we probably want that to be like a bit of state. Maybe we keep on like the board React component. So we can just keep track of like, oh, a piece is highlighted and then this thing is clicked, and then we can dispatch to board game to be like, okay, now we want to do an actual move that ostensibly will mutate the game state. Is what I'm saying making sense?
Yeah, so yes, I think so.
Cool. And if you want me to code up what I'm saying, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, why don't you, I feel like I took a run at this. Why don't you take next step?
All right, cool. And so I'm gonna go ahead and collapse some of these rows just to keep things tidy. And actually where we're gonna be doing our stuff is over here. So again, what I was thinking of is inside of here. I can say it's okay. State, and this will initially be null, right? Because in there, and then if we want to be nice and clean with everything, I think the type of this is going to be null or piece, which I assume we'll also need to export from game over here. So we use it elsewhere. So here we go. Back as well. Indeed, I do. All right, very cool. So now that we've got that, let's make it so that if we, and there's a little bit of subtlety here too, which is we don't want to be able to select somebody else's pieces. So we'll maybe put that as a sub bullet right now. I'm gonna do this naive way, and then I'll go back and make that not possible. But the essence of what we want to do is click. Sorry, it's a little bit laggy.
You need some curly braces around the function itself.
Indeed I do, yeah. Here we go. And we want to say set selected piece. And let's install piece. Cool. And actually, let me think about this for 1 second. Because, so this, maybe I'm going to eat my words here about these things having unique IDs.
Huh.
Because what we're going to want to do is show a similar, selected state on these things. Right. And I think that if we just assign this to the state, it's going to do a by value comparison of these objects, right? I'm just like thinking, is this going to work out if we want to do the naive thing here of just saying we've got a selected piece here. If piece equals selected piece, then show the border. Let's try
We can
it.
try it.
But
Yeah, let's see what
I,
happens.
I could see it not working, so I'm prepared for that to happen. But here, let's grab this little snippet. And let's paste that down there. And then so we can say if cell.piece, and again, the triple equals, I think we'll, and this actually, and again, my JavaScript's a little bit rusty here. This actually might be a situation where we want double equal sign. I want to say if the reference is the same and not the values are the same. Again, my rust is showing here, my rustiness, but that actually might be what we want.
I actually don't know that I've ever tried this specific type of comparison before, so my paranoia would force me.
All right. Yeah, let's try that.
Okay, so then I can take over from here and put just a selected on here, and we'll do border color red. Why don't we do this? Let's make these like a lighter color so that we don't need the, what would it be, like 4s, and then this one can be D, and then these can be usually, and that's a little bit easier to see.
Nice.
And then when we click on one, it goes red. Okay, let's make that a little bit more obvious.
Yeah, Whitney, that's a good suggestion. And if this for some reason doesn't work, I think that's the next place to take it.
Okay, I'm gonna do a thing. Okay, chat, don't yell at me, but I'm gonna do CSS for a second. Box sizing, border box. Stop breaking my stuff. That's better. Okay, so now instead of, it was just kind of blowing out the side. So now we have our selected piece, and then theoretically, then what we want to do is we need the game to know that like these are our two viable moves. And then so now that we've got a selected piece, we would need, so based on selected piece,
yeah,
the available cells are this one and this one. And when I click on it, we trigger the game to move.
Yeah, I think that's right. So I think that the showing that pieces are available as places to move might be a little bit of an embellishment we could do later. But I think that at the very least, making it so that when we click on one of these, we attempt to like,
And I think that's
yeah.
more what I meant.
I
Is like I don't necessarily think we have time to build the UI for it. But just getting it to where like, how do we tell the game? Maybe Board Game's got this built in, but how do we get Board Game to know that only these two squares are available to this piece, and only these two squares are available to this piece?
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So here's how I think we might do it. So I think we're gonna need to hop back over here. Yeah. Let's go back here. Let's go into game. And so I'm just gonna consult the docs for 1 second. But cool. Okay, I got it. All right. So now I'm gonna drive again. I'm gonna scroll on down here for a second. And inside of the checker state object, and I'm actually going to put it above setup just so we don't have to keep scrolling down to the bottom. There is another member we can define here, which is moves. I don't know why it's not me.
Surprise, surprise. Now it's a graph traversal problem. That is true, Jacob.
Yeah, I think also knowing that we're going to have to validate these moves, the prospect of or the strategy of storing the coordinates that we clicked on as opposed to the piece object itself is going to make that a lot easier. So we might go do that. All right, cool. So moves is not a function. It is just a dictionary.
I think you're missing a trailing comma is why it's yelling at you.
That guy. Cool. Where did you see another trailing comma I was missing? Oh, here.
That one, yeah.
Okay. And I'm just looking at the docs again here. So I'm going to copy and paste some stuff from the docs, and we're going to modify it to suit our needs. But then we call this move piece. I'm trying to figure out what from their docs is what here. So I think the first thing we get is like a context object, which is like going to have a bunch of different stuff that we can pluck out to implement some of this logic. So we can see we get these things are just like given to us for free by BoardGameIO.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think this is a set of parameters that we get to choose to pass in. And so for moving piece, again, if we imagine that we're gonna be like clicking on a empty square to do this, I would imagine this would be like the X and Y that I want to move the piece to, right? And in fact, maybe we're gonna do something like this. So I think what this is going to say is like, I want to move the thing at these coordinates to these coordinates. And then so we can do this without any validation at first, right? So again, if we assume that the move is legal, then we would say, and G I think is again our state here. So sorry, I'm very clumsy on the keyboard right now.
And WebNeat actually suggested we could potentially use the row ID and the column ID indexes, like from the loop itself, to identify where we are in the grid.
Yeah, I think that's a super savvy suggestion. And I think once we've got this little bit working, we can jump back over to the board. And I think, in those two map calls, we can add the indexes in there. And I think that'll set us up to be able to have these values at hand. So I think it was a great suggestion. But so two things will happen, again, assuming the move is valid, right? So if the move is valid, I don't think we'll comment, just we keep ourselves honest here. Validate move. If selected X, selected Y will then be set to empty, right?
Well, the piece would be null.
That piece, that's right. Yeah, sorry, null piece there.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. And then we also want to update grid.best X best Y. We also missed an important step here, which is before we null it out. Let's grab reference to the piece. Before it's lost forever in the sands of time. Do that. So I think this is our most naive version of this function.
Right.
And then bop back over here. Let's give ourselves this set of info. And
so then when we have our on click.
Yeah. Well, here, let's also make this change too. So let's say it's selected X and selected Y. I know we could probably do
Oh, right. Yeah. No, I see what you're doing. That I think let's keep it easy. Selected X, selected Y. We'll kind of.
Yeah, we could switch them together into a little tuple, no pun intended. Let's just keep it straightforward for right now. So selected X, and then
that's going to be a number instead.
Number, yeah, that's right. Goodness. Let's copy this. Cool, and let's get this in here. Cool. So now we've got those. Now we can update this, which should be very unhappy. And so what we actually want here is, and this is going to become sort of a gnarly ternary here, but if we say row IDX equals.
That's our Y.
Selected Y, and all IDX equals
cell IDX.
cell IDX. Thank you. And this should be triple. Okay. And then we'd say selected X. Should I have called these selected row and selected column? I have some regrets. We're rolling forward. This is going to be cell IDX. You know, perfect is the enemy of good, right? Keep trucking. Okay, so the first thing I'd want to do now, we made a bunch of changes here. Let's make sure that we didn't break the selection logic thing.
Okay.
So if you want to jump back over to there.
Getting back out here.
Yeah.
Selection logic works.
Groovy. So now we probably want to add another onClick handler, but to the piece itself, or to the square itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we can say on click, and this time we're going to, whoops, do one of these. And then if cell.piece, we will just bail. Otherwise, we will say we want to do the move. And now to do the move, do I just do, moves dot, wait, how does this work?
Yeah, great question. So I think we do get an object called moves, which I don't think we'll have it's not going to be autocomplete for us. Like, I don't think it's that clever.
Moves
but I think if we do,
values.
Yeah, record string. So I think if we just do moves dot whatever we called it, move piece.
Okay.
I'm looking at docs right now too. 1 second.
I actually am. Moves.move piece. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do moves.move piece, and this is going to get our selected X. Do we do XY?
Yeah, I think we did XY.
XY. Okay, selected X, selected Y, cell index, row index, and theoretically speaking, this does the thing.
Let's pop it.
Oh, and then we would also want to set selected
nice.
X to null, set, if I can spell it right. And we'll null out the Y as well. Okay, so, moment of truth.
No. Oh, no.
Okay, it didn't work. Wait, what just happened up there? Did you see
that? Something happened, but not at all the thing we wanted.
We're moving the wrong pieces. And the reason that we're moving the wrong pieces is... Yeah, look at that. Look at it go.
It's a new kind of game.
Some kind of chaos is happening. So
I wonder...
Maybe,
yeah, go on.
Because like this should be 0, 0.
Yeah.
See, these ones are like, well, maybe not. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So maybe what we need to do is start logging things so that we can understand what we've just done. So each child should have a unique key prop. That's fair. Where am I? Here I am. So I guess we can get it to stop yelling at us if we do a key row. This is not ideal, but it's going to be fine. And then we'll get this one as well. So that it doesn't yell anymore. And then what I want to do is let's have this console.log all of those pieces. And then maybe what we should do as well is just print our details in here. So we'll go row index, cell index, so that we can at least kind of see what's going on. No,
Good
go
call.
back. Stop doing that. Okay. Let's. Wait, what? I fixed you. Okay, this is fine. And then we've got our. So this is your. Hold on. Let me center that up or something so that we can actually read it. Cell is gonna have color white. Does that help? That's good enough. So this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So then that gets us to each of these 1, 3, 5, 7. All right. So I mostly understand that. That does what I expect it to do. So then what we should be getting is when we click here.
Yeah.
I click. And I click.
I think we just swapped around the values.
We got them all backwards.
My naming sloppiness bit us.
What? Wait. Y is row. Row is Y. I'm so confused.
Well, here, do you know I think would at
Whatever.
least make
Let's just. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to do if you have an idea, go for it. Otherwise,
I
that's
don't.
gonna-
I don't. I was just gonna. I was gonna start getting like angry. Did we swap in the move piece by chance?
Well, here I'm just gonna do a sweep where we just make these all named what I think they should be named, and I think that'll make it clear where we may have messed up. Does that seem like overkill?
No, I think that's fine.
All right, cool. Select
Oh
the
wait,
row.
I have a faster version for what you're about to do.
Oh, you can use the rename.
I probably could, but what I think we can do is this is like a way lazier way to do it. But so this is going to be our X is going to be our cell,
Sure.
okay, and our Y is going to be our row. Okay.
Cool.
So then when we come down here, selected cell, selected row, selected cell, selected row. These are row, row, cell, cell. Okay. So then back here in the game,
Yeah.
we have our selected cell. We got it backwards. I think Linda called it selected row. So that's what we got wrong. Row, cell. Cell. No, we didn't. We didn't get it wrong.
What?
Cell, row. Okay. So then. This is what we did wrong. We got
cell.
these backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes more sense. And then these also are backwards. And we should probably call these what they are, which is dest cell, dest row. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Why did it change color? Because it's now. All right, we got close. We're much closer.
Huh.
So then down here, let's console log our piece.
Yeah.
And this gives us, that's a proxy.
They call the JSON on it.
Does that even work? Nah, that's not a thing.
Give me an exclamation point. There you go. That's what it is. Maybe I gotta miss a comment, I think.
Why are you yelling at me? Oh, yeah, you're right. And that dumps it entirely. So I think this might be something to do with... What is this to do with? Who knows? Oh, wait, we're backwards again. God damn it.
Okay. Okay, good. I was worried that something way weirder was happening. Hey, all right. Look at those pieces moving around.
Look at us go.
Checkers masters. Yeah.
Right? And then theoretically, like
Wow.
so as long as we can validate that the pieces are legal, which, you know, we've got 14 minutes left, so I would say it is highly unlikely that we're going to get to like fully functional checkers, but we've got pieces moving. I'm feeling good about that, so I'm going to dump that bit here. Okay, cool. So so then the next piece would just be, we have to know, depending on which color the piece is, whether they can go up or down.
Mm-hmm.
And then know if their cell index is 6, their potential moves are the adjacent row, either up or down based on their color, and cell index -1 or +1.
Yeah, I'm just going to list out some of these validation states. Might make it easier for us to just churn through these more methodically. So does the current player own the piece question? Is the loop diagonal? Is it 1 square in the right direction? Is the destination occupied? Does it seem like all the validation steps you want to get through?
Yeah. Yeah, and then like we've got a couple. So the kind of core functionality here would be like next row is like, you know what we really need to do? Or we already did this, so let's get this here. So then we have our next row is if the piece dot color is what was it, color dot black, because we put black on top. So if the piece is black, then the next row is selected row +1.
Yeah.
Otherwise, selected row -1.
Nice.
Or I guess we would say valid row.
Yep.
And then const valid cells equals, and this would be selected cell -1, selected cell +1, and then we would want to filter for value is greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 7, which is our final index.
Nice.
Okay, so those are valid rows and valid cells. So then we could say if dest row is valid row, or I guess if it's not, we would return null or return false. We can also check if the valid cells includes dest cell, return false. Otherwise, we can do the thing.
Cool.
What we don't have is who the player is.
Yeah, fun. So one little minor stylistic thing too is I think board game actually has a special value you're supposed to return if something is an invalid move. And I think it is just this. If you type here, I'm gonna plot this in here for 1 second. I think it is like this. I think it's a thing we can import from board game. Let's see if how happy this is. No, hold on, let me plug this out. What do you think? Off my rocker.
Is it not doing the autocomplete thing for you?
Yeah, 1 second. I was just looking at the docs and going back and forth. I think it's this. It's making it a little laggy.
It's like it gave up on you entirely there.
Yeah, it's not playing next to me. 1 second. Let me do it.
Is it? Yeah, let me try.
Yeah, you
so
try.
It was invalid.
Yeah, try with the capital I. Where is this?
Is it like states or something?
Yeah, I can see it being used in the docs, but I don't know where they're. I see it's from a different library. 1 second. Here, I'm gonna bring it on in. Also, let's see if this works.
I'm worried my Wi-Fi is like struggling under the burden of multiple connections here.
Yeah, that's one thing I was worried about as well. We got data flowing in every which direction. I'll have to be able to pop this in now.
It's weird that it's letting your mouse work, but it's not taking your keyboard input.
Yeah, not sure what's going on there. But here, if you want me to dictate it to you, you want to import invalid move from BoardGameIO/core. There it is. Yeah, so now if we return that in places where the move is actually invalid. There we go. That makes it happy.
So then it should let us do that, but it shouldn't let us do that.
Boom. Validation.
And it won't let me move backwards, but it'll let me move forward.
Yeah.
Look at it go. Okay, so this is far from perfect, but see that it won't let me do that too. Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Cool. So this is, I mean, we've got progress. We're able to kind of move in all the directions here. Things that we're missing are the ability to do the jumps.
Yep.
But like as far as being able to move the standard pieces, we're in good shape here. Can't move backwards, can't move to like random weird spots. So it feels like it's kind of coming together, right? And I would say the next step then would be we'd have to do some logic to figure out if another piece of the opponent's, see, this is where it would get weird, because we'd have to like, if one of the valid cells contains an opponent piece, then we'd have to do an additional check for one more row up and one more piece over to see if that cell was available.
Yeah.
And then we would be able to do the jump, and then we would need to remove that other piece from the board.
Yeah,
So,
the jumping stuff I think does get a little bit complex. Also, by the way, I figured out why my keyboard wasn't working, which is that it got turned off. It was not an internet thing. Oh man, it's always something silly. You know what I mean?
Okay, so we have a little over 5 minutes. Not even. We have 5 minutes. There's no way we can build this, right?
No. Here's I think maybe a good 5-minute task to close this out. Let's make it so it actually switches whose turn it is. If you look at the little inspector there, and I think Board Game gives you a nice little thing for this. So here, if I can jump over to VS Code and Drive for a second.
Yeah.
I think this might just work. So if it doesn't, we'll do things the old-fashioned way. Oh, also, Juan, I just want to call out a cool Tupely thing. I copied this locally and pasted it on your machine. We have a shared copy buffer.
Ooh, that's neat.
Yeah, so just noting that. But I think what this says is basically if it knows that we've done a move and a move has been completed, it will just switch whose turn it is.
That's slick.
Yeah, so let's see if that just works. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get out here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but we need to figure out whose turn it is. So
yeah,
we need to know who the player.
I think in CTX. Oh yeah, go ahead.
We have the player ID.
Yeah, so I think this is a little bit of a tricky bit. Sorry, Jason, to step on you. Player ID is actually, I think, a stable identifier that every player has, and CTX, I think, contains a value called current player. So I think that's the one we want to use.
Okay, so we're gonna say hold on. Allowed piece color is gonna be CTX current player. Is it a number like that?
I think it should be a string, but a string 0.
Got it. Then we're gonna say color.black or color.white. Nice. Okay. And then we've got allowed piece color, and we're gonna say if piece selected row selected cell. Okay, so if piece.color does not equal allowed piece color, return invalid move.
All right, let's see this. This will be the icing on the cake.
Oh, but it did switch.
It switched who's who.
So I have to like switch which player I am.
Oh, interesting.
But
okay,
see, it won't let me move my player, right? But then when I go over to the inspector and I switch which player I am, I can move, but only once, and then it swaps back. So I'm impersonating players, but I think because I saw in the game setup here somewhere, here, we hard-coded the player ID.
Yeah.
So unless I'm impersonating a player, it doesn't move.
That's right.
So basically, we now have turn-based play.
Yep.
That's slick. Okay, we got way further than I would have expected. Like, to be completely like I said when we were first emailing about this, the level of complexity in a game is so deceptive because this game doesn't look hard until you start thinking about the fact that like actually there's a lot that we need to know in order to determine whether or not you can move a checker from this space to this space. Like, we get it because visually, yeah, you go one space and diagonally. But to explain that in computer terms is actually quite a bit. So this is super cool. I love that this came together as much as it did. And I would say with another, give it another session like this, we could probably get at least the jumping logic of being able to like do multi-jumps and stuff. We could get that all running. Kinging might take a little bit more time, but this is dope. And I had a lot of fun with this.
I love it. Yeah.
So, okay. So let's see. We've got Board Game IO. Let me throw a link back out to that. And let me throw a link out to our repo, this repo here, which we can push the changes to. Actually, why don't I do that now while I'm thinking about it? We'll stop here. We'll say this. We'll do a git add all and code built during episode. And then we'll push that. So now all that code should be here. There it is. All right. So if you want to check out that repo, you can go check out what we built today. Give it a try yourself. If you want to take this even further and like build your own version of checkers, you want to code in your house rules, get down, do it. Before we wrap though, what was the rule that you found, the edge rule that you said was surprising?
If you go scroll to so right, I'm gonna doodle it right here. Remove the board. So if a person has a jump and they don't use it, you can still remove from the board the piece that should have made the jump, and they give it a special name, which is a huff. I love that. Be like, I'm in checkers, I'm doing a huff right now. You know what I mean? You don't know these things until you read the manual, and there it is. If you're throwing down checkers with your nephew and you want a huff, you have the right to do it. Say, look in the manual, it's right there. It's called a huff.
So if you can corner somebody into needing to jump and it would put them into a
Yeah.
bad situation, you can actually
Yes.
force them to make that jump. Checkers is trickier than I thought.
That's the headline today. Checkers is trickier than we thought.
So here's the rules for if you wanna dig into I huff regularly in life. Fair. All right, Eli, thank you so much. This was fantastic. Are there any parting words? Anything you want to mention to anybody before we wrap up?
No, this was super fun, Jason. I really appreciate you having me on. And again, if anybody out there thinks Tuple is interesting, please give it a shot. Also, I try and make myself really available. So if you use Tuple and you have feedback on it, I think it could do something better, or there's features that it's missing, like you can hit me up. Again, I'm not very internet available, but I'm Eli@tuple.app. If you want to just email me, love email. But yeah, if you have any feedback, do let me know, and I hope you give Tuple a try.
I'm gonna get ready for this. I'm throwing your email up on the screen. But then we also have, the site. You can see here, thank you again to our sponsors. We've got Tuple, brand new, as well as Netlify, who are kicking in to make this show more accessible, more fun, just allowing me to do more with it. So thank you very much. While you're looking at things on the site, make sure you check out the schedule, because we've got an absolutely packed, excellent schedule coming up. There's even more here that is not on the site yet, so stay tuned for that. And with that, we are going to call this one all done. So Eli, thank you again for taking some time with us. I really appreciate you. Chat, as always, thank you for hanging out. I hope y'all go out and have some fun. Maybe build a board game. Make sure you let me see it if you do, because I want to see what you come up with. We will see you all next time.